Today we're working on making some hamburger buns. You're going to start with 1 cup of warm water, probably around 105, 110. Basically, this is to proof your yeast. So that's where we start with. And then we're going to add 3 tablespoons of milk. This is just regular 2% milk. I imagine you can use any milk. If you're lucky enough to produce your own, it could be whole milk. You need 2.5 tablespoons of sugar. So we'll just put that in there. 1, 2, and I got my half out ready. 2.5. And then 2 teaspoons of just your regular traditional yeast. We buy it in bulk. So you put that in, and you're basically going to let that sit for about 5 minutes. What you'll notice is it starts to bubble. You get a real yeasty smell. We'll come back to that when it's ready. While your yeast water mixture is proofing, we're going to go ahead and mix up all of our other ingredients. I start with my 3 1/3 cup of cups of all-purpose flour. Now you could use bread flour. I don't actually ever buy bread flour, so I'm not sure if there is a difference in what you will actually need. You may have to Google that yourself, but I just use all-purpose. And what I add is 1 tablespoon of the Vital Wheat gluten. Put that in. Then we need 1.5 teaspoons of salt. So, and then basically we're going to just kind of mix that all together, give it a stir. Like so. That looks pretty good. I just use my hands, make a well in the middle. 2.5 tablespoons of room temperature butter. I use salted. I don't know if you should use unsalted, but I use salted. And 1 large egg, just beaten gently with a fork. That goes in. And then we're going to add our yeast mixture into that well. Now, as you can see, if Chris kind of zooms in there, let's get that fruit fly out. If Chris zooms in there, you can see the granules have all broke up. We've got a little bit of bubbling. And if you were in the room with us, you would smell the very distinct yeast smell. But that goes in. And then I just go to the outside and just slowly fold in. With this recipe, it is a very wet dough. You wouldn't be able to just stick your hands in it right off the bat. I'm going to get it all mixed in. Now, one thing, and this was very hard for me the first time that I made this recipe, was to resist the urge to add more flour. If you have one of these, I say these are good spatulas. I think might be a dollar store spatula. But it's one of those good kind that has the solid piece in the middle. That's what you want to use for this particular dough, because we're going to use it kind of as a spatula, a flipper, I guess you could say, in a second here. Get it off there. It's very, very sticky. If you were to kind of smoosh that down with your hands, it would stick to everything. So now we're going to just sprinkle flour onto our counter like that, and we're going to just kind of flip it out onto that like so. Make sure we get it all out. So there we have like that. You can kind of see here it's quite sticky still. What you're going to do is you're going to take your spatula and just slide it underneath. I use my other hand just kind of to brace it. bring it up and slam it back down. Because this is not something you can knead by hand. It is way too sticky. And you just keep going as I send dough flying. Flipping and smashing. Somewhat therapeutic. It's a good thing to do if you're having a bad day. And in about 5 to 7 minutes, this will be a wonderful dough. As I said previously, resist the urge to add more flour. It will come together nicely, and we'll bring you back at that point. We are about 2 minutes in, and it's starting to get really sticky. Almost wet feeling. And it's really sticking to my counter. And there we go. So that's 5 minutes of smashing her down. It doesn't stick to my hand anymore. It's tacky, but not, not sticky. So kind of get that into a nice little ball. I've greased my original bowl. Probably should have cleaned it out, I suppose, but doesn't really matter. So just kind of get it greased in there, and you leave it to sit. We put ours by the wood stove to rise. You want that to double in size, so we find it takes at least an hour in our house, but our house is cooler. But putting it by the wood stove really speeds that up. Now, if you don't have a wood stove, another fantastic option for helping your dough rise is turn your oven on for about 1.5 minutes and then shut it off and put the dough in there. Tea towel over top, same as you would beside the wood stove or wherever. We are back at it. It's been about 1.5 hours, but our bread has more than doubled, so we're going to now break that into our buns. So we brought it back from by the fireplace into the kitchen here, and as you can see, nicely risen. I would safely say that that is more than doubled. So now we're just going to punch it down to kind of get the air out. And that is going to make 8 buns. So we're going to kind of eyeball splitting it up. Those look about the same. And all I do is kind of just shape it. Try and get a smooth top is basically what I like. I don't know if that's the proper way, but we do that. Make sure you got no kind of air pocket bubbles, and set her in there. Now, one thing I should mention is ideally you would cook these on parchment paper. I do not have parchment paper, so I have buttered and then floured the pan. You can just sort of see it in there. It seems to work okay. The parchment paper does work better. These are a little bit, they can be a little trickier to get out. Anyway, so there we have our 8 buns. Now, we're going to be using these for chicken burgers, so that's why we're going with the big bun. But you could also split these down into making 12 buns. They make nice little dinner rolls. For our purpose right now, we are making 8 hamburger buns. So we're going to now put these back by the wood stove and let them rise again, which will take about another hour, and then we'll come back. So there's our buns after the second rise. Again, doubled in size. I usually try and get them to kind of fill out the whole pan, or close to. Now we're going to coat them. As you can see, I have here 1 egg with 2 tablespoons of water, and just kind of beaten with a fork. And we're going to coat these guys. so that's them all coated. And last but not least, we like to put sesame seeds on ours. Now this is optional. You don't need to do this part with the sesame seeds, but we like it. So while this has been happening, we have preheated our oven to 400 degrees. That looks just about enough. We quite like the sesame seeds. So yes, we're preheated to 400 degrees. So we're going to pop those in. They cook for about 15 minutes, but definitely kind of give them a check after the 13-minute mark. You do not want to overcook these. And I suggest spinning them around kind of halfway through. And there we go, folks. Yummy sesame seed hamburger buns. I'll be sure to put the recipe for these buns below and the link for the lamb burger video that we did the other day.